Hello, my name is Carla Calderon. I am a student at Texas A&M International University, and today I will be showing you how to design the rotary motor on Bioshock Infinite's melee weapon known as the Skyhook. For this tutorial, I will be isolating the rotary motor and creating the outer part of it, which is the area I'm pointing at right now. I will be using the dimensions I used for my project. However, you can use whichever dimensions you would like to use, as long as they're proportionate and properly scaled. We will start this tutorial by first creating a circle. We will specify the center for the circle. Then we will be using the diameter for it, not the radius. So we'll select D for diameter and give it a diameter of 0.74. Alright, so this will act as the size for the rotary motor we will be using for this tutorial. Next, we will draw another circle. It will have the same center as the circle we just drew, but this time we will be using the radius and we will give it a radius of 0.11. Okay, so we will repeat this step once again. So we will draw the circle. We will select the same center point we've used before. However, this time the circle will have a radius of 0.07. Alright, now that you've drawn the circle, we've created the basic structure for the rotary motor. Next, we need to draw the circles where we will cut the holes on the rotary motor itself. Okay, so we will start off by first drawing a line that starts from the center of the circle. Just remember that all circles we've drawn so far share the same center. So when I say select the center of the circle, it's pretty much the same center for all three. So that'll be the first point for a line, and then our line will extend upwards at a 90-degree angle to a length of 0.37. Okay, so now that we've drawn this line, it will act as a guide to draw the lines that will show where the circles will be located. Okay, so we will now call out the mirror command. We've already selected our line that we will want to mirror, and we will select the first point for the mirror as the center of the circles. Now, it asks us to select the second point for the mirror, or we can select the angle. For this, we will be using the angle, and the first one will have an angle of 304. We will not erase the source object, so we will select N, and there you have it. That's the first line for the first circle we will be drawing. Okay, so we will repeat the step once again. We will select the line, we will call out the mirror command, we will select the first point, which is the center of the circles, and now we will draw this second line with an angle of 338. So once again, we will not erase the source object. Now we will draw the last line for the circles. So we will select once again the line, we will call out the mirror command, select the first point to be the center of the circles, and now we're going to give this line an angle of 13. Now we will be drawing the three circles where the holes for the shell of the rotary motor will be located by using these three lines we just created. Okay, so we've established where the three circles will be located. Now we're going to establish where the center points are at. So we will do this by drawing three new lines that are at the same angle as the three previous lines we drew before, but this time they will have a shorter length. So we will select the line command. We will specify our first point to be the center point we've used before, and this time we will extend our line to be 0.2350. Let me just make sure I'm correctly aligned. Okay, so like I said, our length for this new line will be 0.2350. So we'll click enter, and now we have our drawn line. So as you can see, the end point we have for it will act as the center point for the circle. We will do this again 2 more times. So we will select the line command, we will select the same center point as before, and we will extend 0.2350 on the second line we drew. Okay, so there we have the new center for the second circle. Now we will do this again. we will select the center point and we will extend on the third line by a distance of 0.2350. There you go. So we have now the 3 centers for the 3 circles we will be drawing. Okay, now we have the position of the center for the 3 circles. So now we can start drawing them. You can select whichever of the lines you want to use to first draw your first circle. Okay, so first we will specify the circle command. Now we have to specify the first center point. So I'm going to specify the first line as my center point. And then I'm going to draw a circle with a radius of 0.1044. Now we can draw the other 2 circles, or you can simply copy the circle onto the other 2. I'm going to be copying the circle we just drew. So I'm going to click the copy command, use the center point as a reference, and then just copy them onto the other 2 lines. Okay, there we have it. We've drawn our 3 circles where the holes will be located for the rotary motor. Okay, so now we're moving to a slightly more difficult part, which is pretty much trimming the largest circle. We can either draw 2 new lines to specify where the circle will be cut, or we can simply extend the lines of the upper and lower circles we just drew and use those as reference points. For this example, I will be using the lines we just drew as reference points, so I will be extending them outwards and make them perpendicular to that of the circle. So let me do the second line now. Oops. Alright, so I will extend it outwards, make it perpendicular to the largest circle. Alrighty, once we have the reference points in place, we will select the arc command. However, we will be using the start and radius for the arc commands. So we will start by selecting our start for the arc to be where the line and the circle intersect. Now, once we've selected it, it will ask us to specify the second point of the arc, or either the center or the end. For this tutorial, we'll be using the end part. So I'm going to put E for end and click enter. And I'm going to specify the end to be the top quadrant for the circle with a radius of 0.11. Let me just turn on my quadrant because I have it off right now. Alright, there we go. Okay, so we will specify our end point to be the top quadrant for the circle with radius 0.11. Now it'll ask us to specify the center, angle, direction, or radius for the circle. We will use the radius and we will give it a radius of 0.1994. So there we go, we've drawn our first arc. Now we can simply mirror the arc or draw it again. I'm going to be drawing it again for this tutorial, so I'll select the first point to be the quadrant of the circle with the radius 0.11, and then I'll specify the end point to be where the line and the circle intersect, and once again I'll give it a radius to be our third point, and it'll be a radius of 0.1994. So there we go, we've drawn our 2 arcs, and now it's looking more like the shell for the rotary motor. Now we can begin deleting reference lines and trimming the outer circle by selecting the 2 recently drawn arcs as our selected objects. So we will select on both arcs, we will call out the trim command, and we will select the outer circle and the circle with a radius of 0.11 to trim them out. Now that it's been trimmed, let me just clean it up a bit very quickly. But you can see that it's been taking already the shape of the rotary motor. Now, all we have to worry about now is transforming all of this and making it 3D. So before we can even make it 3D, I have to make each of these lines into one region itself, because right now they're all separate lines. So I'm going to call out the region command, and then I'm going to click on all the lines I want to turn into one region, which will be all of the outer lines, and select enter. So there we go. Now we have one region. If for some reason it does not work for you, then make sure to check that all lines are connected to each other, that there are no gaps or overlaps. But anyways, we will then, before we extrude, we will draw another circle that's taking the center we've been using since the beginning, and we will give it a diameter of 0.74. So it's like the original circle we drew first, but this one will be going and extruded downwards. So let us extrude our new region upwards at a distance of 0.24. Okay, so let me just type 0.24 for the distance for it. Now there we go, we've extruded the region. Now let me extrude all of the circles now, and these will be extruded upwards a distance of 0.2455. So there won't be much of a difference, but it'll be a subtle difference. Alright, after we've done that, let me very quickly make it into shaded with edges so we can see it a lot nicer. Okay, after we've extruded it, these circles, we will now extrude the largest circle we drew at the very end, and we're not going to extrude it upwards like the rest, we're going to extrude it downwards. And this will be extruded at a distance of 0.12. So it's not going to be that great of a distance. So there we go. That will be our essential shape in the 3D format for the shell of the rotary motor. But before we can finish, we had to subtract the 3 circles we drew at the beginning from the shell of the top part of the rotary motor. So I'm going to call the command subtract. I'm going to select on the top part of the shell. I'm going to click enter, and then I'm going to select the 3 circles. Then I'm going to click enter once again, and there we go. We've already subtracted the circles from the upper shell of the rotary motor. Okay, so that will be all for today. This is pretty much the basic structure for the shell of the rotary motor. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And once again, thank you for watching this video.